So let's go back another one. We have negative 15. So if I go back negative 15, then what would be the local distance? 15 minus 12 is 5 minus 2, 5, 4, 3. So it would be a negative 3 back. If I went negative 3 back, what in the counterclockwise direction, what would be the clockwise direction to get me in the same spot if I think about it as a racetrack? There's 12 degrees or 12 steps, so 12 minus 3 would be 9. And then I have to know that 9 forward would be a major 6. So that means that the major 6 could be 9 forward or negative 3 backwards. So, and it could also be negative 3 minus an octave, or negative 3 minus 12, or negative 15 backwards. So if I was on like this Ionian, then we can say, okay, I can go backwards 3, 1, 2, 3. That would get me to the Aeolian. So that's going to be a minor 6. I could go forward 9. So that would be like I can go 5, and this would be 10 up here because of the fault line, and then back to 9. That would be a 9 note away minor 6. This would be a negative 3 minor 6, but I want to go a negative 15 major 6, not a minor 6, major 6. So that would be, I could go between each string. Where did my cursor go? My cursor got lost. There it is. So I can go 5, 10, and then 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. See, so all of these are going from the Ionian node to the Aeolian node. We can call that always like a major 6, which is what most guitars do. We just start to learn that shape as a major 6, but then we don't really know how to count it. Or if we do, we can only count going upwards, right? When we start to go in the negative direction, it becomes a problem. And even if we figure that out, when we go in the negative direction and we go beyond an octave, it becomes a problem because most people don't say the notes, and we don't even have scale degrees. Even if you knew what a compound interval was, you can't really say a compound interval going backwards because nobody really uses negative scale degrees. So I would recommend that we're gonna use my solution is to say the notes that you're traveling, and that will give you powers that you have beyond what you've ever known before. So what if we go back 16? So if I go back 16, the local distance would be 16 minus 12, or 6 minus 2, which would be 4, negative 4. If I went back 4, then counterclockwise, what would be the clockwise distance on a racetrack or around the block? 12 minus 4 would be 8. And I have to know that 8 would be a minor 6. Therefore, I can either go forward 8 to be a minor 6, or backwards 4 to be a minor 6, or I could go backwards 4 plus an octave, or minus 12, right? Or backwards 16, a negative 16 minor 6. So let's start from an Aeolian node again here. Let's say we're on, let me pick one like in the middle. If I pick an Aeolian node, I could go forward 8 to be a minor 6. That would be like 5 here, and then 5, 6, 7, 8. So I would call that an AY modal range. Or I could go backwards 4 to be a minor 6. We can go 1, 2, 3, 4. That would be what I would call a negative 4 note away minor 6. Or I can go any interval backwards. There's only going to be like 2 around that I can go back on the guitar with, and we run out of space, but infinitely back in theory, back 16, right? So that would be negative 4 minus another 12. So I could go 5 notes here, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So note that most people will just learn this by saying, oh, I'm going from the A to the F, or I'm going from the Aeolian to the Lydian, or it's a 6-4, and I'm just going to memorize all those shapes and just call all of them a minor 6. But it would be a whole lot easier to understand that if you could actually prove that to yourself by counting it out and then being able to distinguish what it means, because it's not exactly the same, even though they're all going to be like minor 6s from a racetrack analogy. It's not from a note number line system. This one is within the octave going forward, the normal distance. This one's going negative compared to this one. You could take the inverse and measure it from here. Lydian going this way would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 note away from the Lydian, which would be a major third. But I don't want to measure it from there. I'm measuring it from the Aeolian, which means it's 1, 2, 3, 4 backwards, which means I should have a name for going backwards, but I don't. So I have to call it the forward name, which is a major 6. But I'm going to say, no, it's a -4 major 6 because I'm going backwards. And if I go backwards over an octave, I need something to tell me that going to this Lydian is different than that Lydian, even though they're both basically minor 6s. And I keep on getting the major and minor mixed up. I apologize for that. Let's do the next one. All right, we're going to go to the next one. Let's see. So let's say we go back 17. So then we say, okay, well, what's the local distance? It would be 17 minus 12, 7 minus 2, 7, 6, 5, 5 notes back. If I go 5 notes counterclockwise, what would be the clockwise direction if we go around the block? 12 minus 5 would be 7. I have to know that 7 would be a perfect fifth, and therefore the perfect fifth could go 7 forward or 5 backwards, or it can go -5 plus or minus another 12. So it's a -5 minus an octave, -5 minus 12, or -5 or -17 perfect fifth. So if we look at a perfect fifth, we can start on either one. Let's just go right in the middle with the Mixolydian here, and we go a perfect fifth. So if I went forward 7, it would be 5, 6, 7. So that's our standard power chord perfect fifth. But I could go backwards 5. So that would be right above it because there's 5 notes between the strings. So I could go here. So once again, I could see that it's an XD modal range, and I can call both of them a perfect fifth, which most guitarists will, but it's different because this one's going forward, and so I'd like to say this is a -5 perfect fifth, and this is a +7 perfect fifth note away, and then I could go 17 back, which would be 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I can't go 17 back from here. Dang it. Let's go 17 back from I don't know, this one. It would be 5, 10, 15, 16, 17. See, we can go 17 backwards. This distance, although it's still an XD, is different than this one. It's going in the negative direction. If I measure from the D to the X, I'm going to get a different measurement, right? If I measure from this D to this X, it's the 5 note forward, which would be a perfect fourth. But I'm looking at this as my center point. I'm measuring from here to there. There it's a 5 note negative distance, which is going to be a perfect fifth, not a perfect fourth. See, so we have to get that straight in our mind. The tools out there can be ambiguous. We don't like ambiguity. We want clear terminology. Language should be used to define reality. That's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to say stuff that's actually that helps us understand what is happening. What if I go -18 back? The local distance would be 18 minus 12, or 8 minus 2, 8, 7, 6. So it would be 6 backwards. If I go 6 counterclockwise, then going clockwise would be 12 minus 6, or 6 forwards. This is the weird one. The 6 distance should tell me it's weird, not the fact that it's a diminished fifth or an augmented fourth. But I'd have to know it's a diminished fifth or augmented fourth. Therefore, the diminished fifth or augmented fourth could be basically 6 steps forward or 6 steps backwards. So that means I can also go backwards any octave of that. So -6 minus another 12, or minus an octave, or it's a -18 diminished fifth. Now, note, you can get kind of wonky. Is it a diminished fifth or an augmented fourth? I don't want to get into that right now, but that's the general idea. We won't get into the weeds on all that at this time. But in any case, the general idea, we're going back 6. So let's say we start in the middle again. So normally we think going forward, which would be 5. Well, the only one where that's going to land us, because this is the weird one, let's go with the crazy Locrian. If I start on the Locrian, that'll land us on a continent. So we go on the crazy Locrian, and we go up 5, 6. So that's an NY modal range, a 7/4 modal range. Or I could go backwards 6. So that would be negative 5, 6 here. Notice the pattern in this weird interval. So then we have, that would still be an NY modal range, but I would call that a negative 6 diminished fifth or augmented fourth. And then I could go back 18. Let's see if I can do that from here. 1 or 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So boom. So notice I need to be able to see that all three of those, I can call them a diminished fifth from the perspective of the Locrian, but they're different as well. How do I identify that they're different? Well, I can't use the diminished fifth because that's the scale degree as if I was going clockwise, which I had to use even though I'm going counterclockwise. So I can't really compound that too easily. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna have to say, I would recommend you say the notes, right? It's a negative. This is going directionality negative 18. This is directionality negative 6. This is directionality forward 6. Okay. Directionality is a thing. It is a thing. Okay? I'm sick of the lies. I'm sick of the lies trying to gaslight me. You could take your gas and use it to drive off. Okay.